Coming up on Asian Focus, meet the woman who heads Governor Deval Patrick's Asian American Commission. Plus, are there any good guys left? We found one, and he even got an award for it. Plus, a personal financial planner tells how you can catch up financially and get ready for retirement. I'm Mary Sitt. Join me next on Asian Focus. When Governor Deval Patrick wanted to choose a leader to head the Asian American Commission, he didn't have to look far. He selected Christina Chan, his former director of community relations during his 2010 campaign. An attorney at Bingham & who concentrates on commercial disputes, Christina already had a history of working with the community. In San Diego, she was a canvasser for Environment California, a group that got grassroots support for a global warming initiative. She also worked in Washington for the U.S. Public Interest Research Group and the American Public Health Association. Christina, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell me about the Asian American Commission. What is the purpose and mission of that commission?
Sure. So the Governor's Asian American Commission Advisory Council, we serve the governor and serve as a liaison between him and the Asian American community in Massachusetts statewide.
Okay. Has there always been a commission like this with every governor, or is it unique to Governor Patrick?
So that's an interesting question. The commission has existed with every governor, but it has had different levels of activity depending on who was governor at the time and who was current chair of the commission, who really actually shapes and molds kind of the initiatives that the commission chooses to pursue.
So what's your vision for that commission?
So because my role as chair on the Governor's Asian American Commission kind of came on the heels of the work we did on the campaign for the governor in 2010, and you know, something about the governor's re-election campaign in 2010 that was unique is that he really set this precedent in galvanizing the Asian American community in a way that it really hadn't been before. It was very organized. We were able to draw on our increasing Asian American communities in Lowell, Quincy, Malden, Cambridge, among many other communities, to really become this united force who really had a voice in that 2010 election. And so after that work we did on that campaign, laying the groundwork of really bringing these community leaders together from all over the state, we wanted to maintain that momentum. And so the commission really serves as a vehicle through which the commissioners that we appoint are from all over the state. And so we really bring these community thought leaders together to serve as advisors to the governor, to be the ears on the ground, to let him know of the issues and concerns that come up, and really keep the community engaged. We really are focused on civic engagement and making sure that the Asian community consistently has a visible presence in the political discourse, and that our voice is heard, and that people who run for office, as you see with this current year, continuously view our voice as an important voice. And
well, let me ask you this. Is the Asian community united at all? I mean, don't they have, there's so many Asian, it's a broad term. There's the Cambodians, the Vietnamese, right, the Chinese, the Korean, the Chinese from mainland China, the Chinese from Taiwan. Right. I mean, they're all different, right? And they all have their own little agendas or issues. And also, most of them aren't very political. They could care less about politics. I'm serious, right? They could care, especially the immigrants. They're so busy running their little mom-and-pop shops, their restaurants. Do they really care about politics? How do you make them care about politics and get them involved and to have a voice?
Well, so that's interesting. I think they do care. I just think it needs to be more accessible to them, so that they can have a voice. A lot of the events that we organize, we are very cognizant about having translators that can speak the language and translate, when we bring the candidates to the community to do a meet and greet with the community, so they know who they're voting for, that they can really understand them when they talk to them. So, what I think was unique about how we were able to kind of organize and bring together the Asian community statewide was that we really did view ourselves as the Asian American community. We didn't just think of ourselves in our own silos of Chinese American, Korean American, Japanese American. We really were able to unify and like be a solid voice that had a solid, consistent vision.
What would you say are the major issues that Asian Americans in Massachusetts want the governor's office to be aware of?
Sure. So I think some of them are somewhat localized to like Boston, Chinatown versus Lowell, specifically for Chinatown because that's where a lot of candidates tend to go. Bilingual ballots is a huge issue. Having transliterated ballots, it means a lot to the community to actually have the candidate's name translated into the language they understand. And it's actually surprising that it hasn't become a permanent piece of legislation so that translated ballots are actually a permanent fixture.
Would it be in Vietnamese and Chinese?
Right. Okay. And other languages that other communities would lobby for. Okay. In Chinatown, they're also looking for a fixed library space.
Really? Okay.
Which is, just something that the youth ties in with, youth and education and something that, is a resource that's really important to them. It was actually kind of funny during our Boston mayoral candidate forum series that we organized. The Boston Youth Essential Services, which is a great organization in Chinatown, actually organized their youth to have this small campaign where each candidate who came would have to sign this huge poster board pledging that they would devote resources to build a new library in Chinatown, which I thought was actually a great way that we could provide a platform where they could be civically engaged and lobby for something that's important to them, and candidates got to meet with these, young leaders in the community who were really passionate about a specific issue.
Christina, you're young, and you had a statewide commission, which is pretty impressive. How do you meet the challenges of, do people ever look at you and go, oh, what can she accomplish? Do you ever face that challenge at all? Or do people basically accept who you are and just go, let's go for it,
I've actually refreshingly have not really faced that challenge. Okay. I think
you just engage them and you get them to like you and do what you want, right?
I hope that's what I'm doing. I really think, I hope that it really stems from the fact that a lot of these people that I work with, I worked with during the governor's campaign for a solid 6+ months, developing really meaningful relationships with them and trust and really listening to them and their concerns and kind of being that liaison with them.
So they trust you.
To the governor. So they know I think I worked really hard on their behalf, so I think that they do trust me.
Okay, Christina, thank you so much for being with us.
Sure, of course.
Good luck with the Asian American Commission.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we'll meet a good guy. Yes, he's real, and he won the prestigious Good Guys Award. We'll explain right after this. He's been recently honored with the prestigious Good Guys Award, an honor for men given by the Massachusetts Women's Political Caucus. Leverett Wing is a well-known leader, activist, and organizer whose ability to organize on a broad scale and break down barriers has led to some landmark accomplishments. Leverett, thank you so much for being with us.
Great. Glad to be back. Thanks, Mary.
Okay, so what is this Good Guys Award?
Well, the Massachusetts Women's Political Caucus is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization which steers women and promotes women into getting more active in politics, tries to get them into elected office and high-ranking appointed positions. So every year they give an award to 4 or 5 men who have distinguished themselves, they say, by their work in promoting women and helping women in politics. And so in the past, some of the honorees have included Governor Patrick, Senator Kennedy, Senator Kerry, a whole host of these guys, and somehow I got my name on the list. And I'm convinced that they thought that they were honoring former Senator and former Governor Leverett Saltonstall. And so when
and you were named after him.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
That's another story for another show, perhaps.
Okay.
But yes, so I'm convinced that thought they were honoring Leverett Saltonstall, and then when I showed up, they said, "Oh, Well, we got to give it to him anyway. So.
No, that's not really true, because I get emails from you all the time when you're always promoting women candidates for office.
Yeah.
Tell me who you've helped get into office.
A bunch. I mean, there's the most recent one was my good friend Michelle Wu, who's the first female Boston City Councilor in the city's history, the first female mayor in Massachusetts history, Mayor Lisa Wong in Fitchburg.
Great.
She's fantastic. She was a previous guest on your show.
She's great.
Amy Ma Sangiello, Newton alderwoman, who is the longest sitting Asian American elected official in Massachusetts currently. Other folks nationally, I've helped former Hawaii Senate President Colleen Hanabusa. She's a congresswoman now, and a whole host of others. It's been a lot of fun.
How did you help the person in Hawaii and you're living in Boston?
Well, she came into town. And I guess she had heard that she should give me a call, and so when she gave me a call, I said, "Sure, let me introduce you to some of the folks." And she has such a compelling story, and she's such a compelling candidate that it was an easy sell. And so people came, they met her, they rallied around her, we raised money for her.
What drives you to help women candidates, especially women Asian candidates, get into office? Is it because you think they're so worthy and people aren't paying attention like they should, or what?
Well, I've always tried to focus on underserviced communities and underserviced constituencies. And female Asian candidates, I mean, if you talk about a niche group, that is one of the most underserviced.
Double minority.
Exactly. And so we've had some incredible candidates, some of the ones, like I said, the ones that I just named, and they're eminently qualified, they're so smart, and they're such just good people. And I've been very fortunate. I said during my acceptance speech at the awards, I've been very fortunate to meet such incredible people, particularly women. I mean, like I said, Michelle, Lisa, your previous guest, Christina, she's been a dear friend of mine, and she's done incredible work organizing the community.
So, Leverett, I billed you in the intro, so I want you to give me some specific examples, right? As someone who's able to do this broad-scale, support, you're able to generate that. How are you able to get such broad-scale, support for either candidates or cause or initiative, and you are able to do that?
Well, I mean, I think it's my ability to work with pretty much anybody and everybody. If I think that they're going to do good work and benefit the community, whether it's Asian American community, Latino, African American, I try to break silos. One of the, I think on the screen there, it said community mobilizer. I was joking with you that we were trying to figure out a title for the MWPC awards, and one of the titles that somebody came up with was silo breaker. And so what I tried to do is I tried to break silos down, and hopefully people see that.
How do you do that?
Just trying to focus on the right causes, trying to focus on the right issues, trying to do pretty much just the right thing. And if people may disagree with what I do, but if people think that you have good intentions, then whether they agree with you on this issue, perhaps they'll agree with you on another issue, and you'll have enough credibility with them so that you'll be able to work with them in the future.
So do you come up with crazy ideas to get support? Because I know you do.
Oh, good God. Okay,
the haircut thing.
Yes,
you know what I'm talking about.
One of the things that I did, this is off subject, off of the Good Guys Award. I raise money for Joslin Diabetes Center.
Yes.
And one of the things I'm doing is I'm raising money. I created an endowment fund for my late parents. It's going to be a lectureship fund where lecturers, teachers will come to Boston through Joslin Diabetes Center, and through this lectureship fund, they'll pay for the lecturers to come and teach some of the students, some of the doctors, and around Boston about diabetes in Asian Americans. So in order to raise money
Which is really an epidemic among Asian Americans, right?
Yeah. I mean, it is the second or third biggest killer in Asian Americans in the country. And so one of the things I had to do was I have to raise money for this endowment fund, and I came up with this haircut challenge, which I had initially said, okay, if we raise $10,000 by a certain date, I will shave my head. And
it got modified by your wife.
My wife and by my female friends. You talk about good guys, they're paying back. I had my wife's exact words were, "You may want to give this a second thought." Your previous guest, Christina, her exact words were, "Ew, no." And so my female...
I really contributed to the bald thing.
That's right. Because I'm so attractive with hair. But what they did was they modified it so that it was save Leverett's hair versus shave Leverett's head. Okay. And so actually by doing that, we raised more with those two, because the guys, it fell along gender lines. The guys were like, yeah, that's a great idea, you should do it. And the women were like, no, don't do that. And so the Save My Hair won by $21. And I saved my...
Whichever fund got the most, you do that.
So we raised over $15,000.
Oh, that's great.
And the Save My Hair won by $21. I guess I would joke, by the skin of a follicle. Am I mixing metaphors?
No, but that's great. You raised that much money for it.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. And you can see, and it was gratifying to see a lot of the folks that I worked with and a lot of folks that I helped and vice versa. They came and they really stepped up to the plate and they really helped a cause that meant a lot, means a lot to me, which is my parents.
Leverett, you also serve on the board of WGBH,
yes.
right? The PBS station here, affiliate in Boston. What do you do there?
I try to advance more diversity in the programming. WGBH does an incredible, I don't know if it's a competing station or not.
No, it's okay. They're nonprofit.
Okay. All right. WGBH does incredible work in terms of diversity of programming. And what I try to do is I try to promote that programming. I try to bring more folks into WGBH and also try to avail WGBH to some of the resources in our community because they have such a breadth of programming. It could be even broader if they avail themselves to some of the resources that we have in our community.
Leverett, we're running out of time, but tell me, where does this drive come from? This drive to help the community, to do things for the community, to break down barriers and bring people together for good causes. Where does that come from, that drive?
I think it comes from my parents. I mean, my parents always encouraged me to give back. The work ethic definitely comes from my parents. My parents worked at a Chinese restaurant for 15, 17-hour days, and also from within. It's just a lot of fun. I mean, you meet so many people. You know some of the events that I do. A lot of them I just equate to giant play dates. Because you get older, you don't get to see your friends, so I'm going to throw an event, and I'll get to see all my friends, and I'm going to get to hang out with my friends.
And then you do good while you're doing that.
And it's just fun.
Yeah, that's great. Leverett Wing, thank you so much. One of the good guys.
Great, thanks very much, man.